Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Investing Kev. In today's episode, I want to go over XPeng's Q3 earnings report, things that stood out, stock-related news, as well as industry-related news. For full disclosure, I own shares of XPeng, ticker XPEV, and I'm not selling anytime soon. I did a stock breakdown and analysis video of XPeng many months ago, which is episode 7. Most of the information still is the same, but this company moves pretty quickly, and there's been a lot of good news coming out the past few months. If you like my content, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think about XPeng. Alright everyone, let's get started. Looking at their Q3 reports, I want to take a look at some numbers as well as some things that were said during the earnings call. Looking at the deliveries of vehicles in the third quarter, they delivered 25,666 in the third quarter alone. This is a new quarterly record, representing an increase of 199.2% from 8,578 in the corresponding period of 2020. And this is also an increase of 47.5% from 17,398 in the second quarter of 2021. Their deliveries of their P7 were at 19,731 in the third quarter of 2021, reaching a quarterly high and representing an increase of 71.2%. This is up from 11,522 in the second quarter of 2021. Looking at their past 5 quarters highlighted in blue, we're looking from right to left. You can see in 2020 Q3, they had total deliveries of 8,578, and they've pretty much tripled that number within a year, which is really impressive. Looking at their P7 deliveries, you can see in Q3 of 2020, they only had 6,210 deliveries, but now they're currently at 19,731. From Q4 of 2020 to Q1 in 2021, you can see a slight drop, but if you're in the stock for the long term, you shouldn't get caught up on this. I would encourage investors to take a look at the big picture. Things are trending up and it's gone up pretty quickly. That means more to me than just a 6-month time span when this company is still getting started and there's so much more room left to grow. Looking at their financial highlights, their total revenues were at 5.8 billion renminbi, which is roughly about 890 million US dollars for the third quarter of 2021. This is an increase of 187.4% from the same period of 2020 and an increase of 52.1% from the second quarter of 2021. Their revenues from vehicle sales were at 5.4 billion renminbi, which is about 850 million US dollars for the third quarter. This is an increase of 187.7% from the same period of 2020 and an increase of 52.3% from the second quarter of 2021. Their gross margin was at 14.4% for the third quarter of 2021 compared to 4.6% for the same period in 2020 and 11.9% for the second quarter of 2021. Their vehicle margin, which is gross profit of vehicle sales as a percentage of revenues from vehicle sales, was at 13.6% for the third quarter of 2021. Compare that with 3% for the same period in 2020 and 11% for the second quarter of 2021. And their net loss was slightly higher at 1.6 billion renminbi compared to 1.1 billion renminbi for the same period in 2020. Next, I want to take a look at their 2021 earnings call transcript. The first is the overseas business front. On the overseas business front, XPeng's P7 was launched in Norway on October 25th. They will explore opportunities to expand in Norway and other European markets, such as Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands, and improve their sales delivery and service network continuously. And with respect to manufacturing capabilities, their first plant, the Zhaoqing plant, is currently running on double shifts with production lines working up to 20 hours per day. They are currently building plants in Guangzhou and Wuhan. The total defined production capacity of Zhaoqing plant and the plants being built in Guangzhou and Wuhan will be more than 4,000 units per year. By adopting a double shift production at these plants, the annual production can reach up to 600,000 units, laying a strong foundation for the high growth in the next 2 years. And in the fourth quarter of 2021, they expect their smart EV deliveries to be approximately 34,500 to 36,500 units, and their total net revenues to be approximately 7.1 billion to 7.5 billion renminbi. There are a couple of things that I saw that stood out to me. With regards to XPeng, the financials were great, but this is really what stands out to me. As we launch XPilot 3.0 in the second half of 2022, we will begin to explore the RoboTaxi business. Our strategic goal in the near term is to improve the robustness and safety of our autonomous driving algorithms through generalization. I believe our ability to mass produce turnkey solutions, including vehicles and software to potentially mobility service operators, will bring a revolutionary mobility experience to users and create significant business value. And looking at the research and development, XPeng not only developed a full stack software in-house, but also designed and integrate core hardware in-house to achieve a rapid iteration of technology. For example, they will be one of the first ones in China as a mass-produced 800-volt high-voltage silicon carbide cut platform and a 400-kilowatt high-voltage supercharging piles, which will allow 200 kilometers of driving range through only 5 minutes of charging. For me, that's impressive because 200 kilometers is 124 miles. One of the biggest factors from people not buying an EV is the charging time. So for people to get a range of 200 kilometers or 124 miles in just 5 minutes, that's probably the time spent at a gas station. And in the third quarter of 2022, they'll begin the deliveries of their fourth EV model, the G9, which supports XPilot 4.0. In our view, XPilot 4.0 is going to fundamentally transform mobility experiences into the next stage. Our mission is to make smart EV accessible to a broader user group in the largest passenger vehicle market segment, delivering revolutionary smart EV experience across our target market segment. The RoboTaxis surprised me because looking at this article back in October 2020, it said differently. Looking at this article, which came out last year in October, Chinese Tesla rival XPeng steers clear of robotaxis, says self-driving trucks are more likely to succeed. XPeng's head of autonomous driving said that it is difficult for self-driving systems to replace human drivers, especially in densely populated cities. He said that they have to make a robot driver completely be a human driver to be able to generate value for the society, which is pretty rough. He added that driver and taxi fares were more affordable in China than in Western markets, making it harder to argue for robotaxis from a cost perspective. I am happy they are looking into robotaxis because it shows a company that's willing to take a risk. I would rather have the company try and fail than to not do anything at all. Just recently, McKinsey and Company released this China report, and there's a section about robotaxi adoption which could reach 20 to 25% of shared mobility mileage by 2031 in Tier 1 cities. On the left-hand side, you can see that in 2020, the overall China share mobility passenger kilometers was dominated by ride-hailing and the car rental and car sharing, with robotaxis taking up 0% of the share. By 2030, robotaxis will take up 5% of the shared mobility passenger kilometers. On the right-hand side, when you look at Tier 1 cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, you can see from 2020 to 2030, robotaxis will go up from 0% to 20 to 25%. There is a market for it, and XPeng has a belief in their XPilot system to help execute their vision and join the robotaxi market, competing against companies such as BYD, Baidu, and Didi. And just last week, XPeng unveiled their new electric SUV, the G9, aimed at international markets. XPeng plans to launch the G9 in China in the third quarter of 2022. Looking at the G9 features, the G9 will be XPeng's first model equipped with the XPilot 4.0. The XPilot 4.0 is the company's Advanced Driver Assistance System, or ADAS, which is slated for rollout in the first half of 2023. XPeng also said that the G9 will be compatible with its X-Power superchargers, which allow cars to charge up to a 200-kilometer driving range in 5 minutes, like we saw earlier. And the G9 will also feature light detection and ranging technology, or LiDAR. These systems send out lasers that bounce back to measure distance. Those returning beams are processed by an algorithm to create a three-dimensional representation of surrounding objects, a key technology for autonomous vehicles to understand their environment. And the CNBC article just came out yesterday. Chinese Tesla rival XPeng wants to sell half of its cars overseas. The vice president and chairman Brian Gu said this: "As a company that focuses on global opportunities, we want to be balanced with our contribution of delivery, half from China, half from outside China in the long run." And this goes back to XPeng entering Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands next year. Profitability is still elusive, and Brian Gu said that Wednesday he expects the automaker can reach break even in 2 years. By 2023, they expect XPeng to break even, and I expect by 2024 they'll be profitable. And this article from Yahoo Finance just came out today. The Electric Vehicle Market Analysis 2021 to 2028 Growth Market Reports. Growth Market Reports, a leading market research company, has published a new study on the electric vehicle market by vehicle types. As per the analysis, the electric vehicle market was valued at $273.3 billion in 2020. It is projected to reach $802.75 billion by 2028, expanding at a compound annual growth rate of 21.6% during the forecast period. To summarize what I've gone through, I want to look at this slide. They are focusing on their European expansion and growing their moat. They're currently running double shift production lines. This is currently happening at their plant in Zhaoqing, and they're currently building new plants in Guangzhou and Wuhan. With all three plants in operation, they will be able to produce more than 400,000 to 600,000 units per year. They're going to look into robotaxis between July to December 2022. They're coming out with a new G9 SUV. This is their fourth vehicle in their lineup, and deliveries are expected in Q3 of 2022. This will be equipped with XPilot 4.0, and they have developed a supercharger which will allow 200 kilometers or 124 miles of driving range through only 5 minutes of charging. In my opinion, this company is absolutely killing it, and I'm really proud to be a shareholder. XPeng is currently trading at $54.37. I am a long-term shareholder, so I will continue to dollar cost average into this company and build up my position as much as possible. I am a huge fan of XPeng and other Chinese EV players like NIO and Li Auto, but I have to say that XPeng is currently my number one favorite at this point in time. They are executing their vision, their management is proactive, and I believe in this company. I am intrigued by the future of the EV and robotaxi industries, and I believe that XPeng will stand out in those industries. There you have it, everyone. This is my Q3 earnings update alongside stock-related news and industry-related news. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think. I would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you for joining me and tuning in. As always, stay safe, and I will see you all next time.